down. It's a nice rainy day. It was April yesterday. Today we're back to February. So there you go. And we need cold. Who's freaking out in their yard right now? I'll raise my hand. It's like, what's going to happen? We got to be careful. It doesn't get too cold here pretty quick. We're going to have some. We've been good for the nursery business this year. So we're going to have some dead plants. Everything's starting to grow. So if you've got the sheet off the back, everyone grab a copy. So this will be kind of to take home. How many of you came to the pruning berry class a couple weeks ago? We had a few. So you can always ask me after class. I'm not going to talk much about pruning today. I'll mention a couple of tips. You can ask me after. The video's up on our YouTube thing if you want to watch it. We're trying to make these classes a little quicker, focused. Hopefully get out of here in 45 minutes or so and not be in here for an hour and a half. I can stay, I'm here all day, so I can stay as long as you want and answer question after question, but we'll try to get the basics done, send you off. So how many people have existing berries they're looking to learn what to do with? Good chunk. How many people don't have maybe berries or wanting to add them in? Got some of those as well. Okay. So we'll kind of do this fast and furious. We'll go through a few things. I got a bunch of plants up here to show you. Before I forget, like with all the classes, the stuff's on sale, so you can do it today. I already said it once. They're actually playing the Super Bowl tomorrow, so I hate to say I'm being selfish, and we are closing at 3 tomorrow. We're going home to watch the game. So don't come up here at 3:15. You're going to get sent away from the gate with a smile. So today, tomorrow till 3, you got all week for the sale till Friday. So you know, if it's raining today, you're like, I'm not ready, I'll come down the week. You got the whole week to shop. All the berries 20% off. All the fertilizers 20% off as well, okay? We did kind of something fun. We're doing the 12th man sale for the weekend. So there's 12% on everything, but this is kind of extra special for the class. So there you go. So I'm going to try to follow this sheet. We're just going to talk a few general things about berries, and I'm just going to dive into some of the major categories. We have the vast majority of everything in except for some of the specialty stuff. I have to go to Oregon for meetings on Monday morning, and I'm picking up jujubes and pawpaws and goji berries and gummies and all kinds of weird stuff Monday. I'll be back late Wednesday night. The plants will be here next Thursday. So if you're interested in getting some different things that are kind of fun to grow up here, a lot of currants, that will all be here just before that Friday sale ends. So you can come up later in the week or leave your name and we can call you and certainly honor the discount there, okay? So if we're just going to talk a little bit about just growing berries in general, we need sun. This is not a shade plant. There's very few exceptions up here. I'll mention some things that will grow in more shade than sun, some native things that we can enjoy. But if we're looking to harvest, we need sunshine. That's number one thing. 6 hours minimum. The more the better on some things. The better sun we get, the better air circulation we get, the less disease, the better production, the quicker ripening. All that stuff is pretty easy. The one thing we'll say, well-drained soil. Now that is probably important, really important for everything we talk about today, except the blueberry. So I live in Everett. Who knows Lowell? If I look across the valley from my house across Lowell, I don't know, what are they up to? About 1 billion blueberries in the valley. And they are underneath water right now. And guess what happens in spring? They grow, they bloom, they produce, and they got great crops. So blueberry is the one plant that probably doesn't mind a little wetter season, maybe a heavier clay, some drainage. We have to have acidity, but the drainage is not important. If I had raspberries, blackberries, kiwi, grape, anything out there, they would all be dead the first winter. That is not enough drainage for the rest of those guys to have, okay? Watering schedule. Now, if we know plants, you know, we're very wet because it's raining today, not so much this winter. But we dry out in the summer. It's probably never going to change. Who knows, maybe someday the whole shift in the weather pattern will go. But we are very dry in the summer. If I'm a plant, the first thing I do is abort on berry or fruit. Then foliage, then I die. Okay, so if I'm going to conserve myself, this is the point of watering here in the summer. It's not every day. It's not every other day. If we mulch heavily, we take care of things. Maybe we have to check our patches twice a week and keep them irrigated. If we keep them wet, we're going to have better production. We're going to have tasty edibles to enjoy. If I let it dry out, fruit's going to drop, and we're going to skip a year. It's going to want to go dormant a little early. So make sure in the summertime. Soaker hoses around blueberries, raspberry rows. Very easy to keep these irrigated without having to do it every day. We don't need sprinkler system, it's not that much, but we just gotta make sure they don't dry out. Fertilizing, like I mentioned with the fertilizers on sale, we would do all organic for anything edible. So I would look at these two things for everything we're talking about today. Blue bag, easy to remember, blueberry. Okay, this is just for blueberry, Angelrodi, azalea, gardenia, anything acid loving. They finally put a bunch of blueberries right on that front label so we can see it. So if I'm at blueberries, this is what I want to buy. If I have anything else we talk about today, grape, kiwi, raspberry, brambles, all of it, I want to go for this fruitberry vine food. That's not as acidic, okay? So you got both foods covered. I tell people I'd load up on Rodi Food with a sale. This probably goes on 90% of most landscapes, not just blueberry, but your shrubs, your garden. That's a great food for pretty much all of it, okay? So going organic, if we feed about now to 1st of March, that gets us going for the spring season. If we do it one more time, say 1st of June, now we've got happy plants for the summer, we get the right growth, we set our buds, and we're good to go for the next season, 2027. Does that make sense? So 2 feedings a year should be plenty, sometimes just 1. If you've got happy plants and you're picking berries, I don't know that you have to feed even twice a year, but ideally those would be the 2 intervals. Once March 1st, once June 1st, okay? Mulching. I would always mulch pretty much all plants we carry, okay? It's particularly, I bring this up with the blueberry again. If I plant a blueberry, I would not bury a Japanese maple 4 inches full of mulch at the trunk, you know what I mean? Or a shrub, or a typical Rodi, anything like that. Blueberry, heck yeah. Mulch the crap out of that thing. Compost, bark, whatever your thing is, hit the base every single year. I would walk out, sprinkle my Rodi food down, and immediately cover that up with 3 or 4 inches of fresh mulch. Keeps that food there, keeps it more watered in the dry summer, and we continue to build that acidity in there, okay? I'm not a huge fan of bark. It's not my thing, but guess what goes underneath my own blueberries in my yard? The one thing, bark. Because it is acidic, it's loose, it's woody, it's mulch, and it will help down the long term. But we always want to make sure we fertilize and then mulch right over the top, okay? Now, we talked about pruning a little bit. Again, I'm not going to go into that a lot. You can ask me as we get to the specific berries. If you didn't make that class, we'll pause at the end of blueberries, and you can ask me a couple questions if you want to go it that way. But pruning should all be done here pretty quick. We're in that pruning time frame with our berries, that February to early March. Sometimes we do a little bit in the summer as well. But this is the time of year, especially if we have old, established plants that we might want to rejuvenate a little bit. We can give you some tips on that. Container growing. Who's out of room in their yard? I'm kind of raised half my hand because I'm about out of room. But I can always find a room for another pot, right? So I have blueberries in pots on my patio. I've had raspberries in pots on my patio. I do things in pots all over my garden, whether it's tree, shrub, berry, anything. Always the key to good plants to me is always soil. Soil, soil, soil. Got great native soil, I'm going to have good success. If I buy a good potting mix, I'm going to have happy berry plants as well, okay? So if I'm going to grow strawberry, the dwarf raspberry, any of this stuff in a pot, I can just get regular organic potting soils fine. Raised bed mix works great too. All that's good to go. I bring again blueberries up specifically. You'll see a pink bag down here, right? So that's the new kind of standard of soils we call hybrid soil. If I'm buying a plant and I want to ensure acidity, I could use that mixed in with my native dirt as an amendment, okay, like we would compost. Is that making sense? If I want to plant straight into a pot, I use that as a potting soil as well. So I will speak for me. When this came out, I have jelly bean blueberries, great dwarf one, 2 big orange pots on my patio. 4 or 5 years went by, this is 10, 12 years ago, and I'm like, God, it just wasn't a lot of berries this year. That winter, I transplanted them, put them in that new acidic potting soil, night and day, starting the next year. And ever since, it has been glorious for production, okay? So in containers, I get the right mix, I'm gonna have happy plants, and I want to make sure I keep that soil acidic for the blueberries. So sulfur, I can always get a pH meter, or if I want to lightly sprinkle something organic on that's not fertilizer, I want to make sure this is clear. This is not food. This is an amendment or a pH adjuster that will again drop my pH from neutral. If I go buy a bag of great organic potting soil, it is always going to be neutral. They're going to make sure that it has no acidity in it. That's great for petunias, a lot of shrubs, trees, flowers, all the rest. Not good for the majority of the berries. So that way we're able to lower our pH down there in that 5.5, 6 range is ideal for growing the blueberries. That's what our native soil typically is here anyway. Now we can do that in the container and have success, okay? So watch the container growing. It's a great way to grow berries. If you're out of room like I am, you know, you can always get a nice pot and grow a lot of the stuff we talk about in berries. I'll mention a few things in particular, okay? Now, last year, if I had any problems with my berries, okay, blueberry, raspberry, anything at all, if I had an issue, that's always the red flag to me to think about it this winter and go, okay, I want to pause for a minute, whether it's back in November, December. We were talking before class, a lot of plants haven't even really gone dormant because we haven't had a hard winter at all. But I have to make those plants go dormant, clean them up, and get all the old debris out of there, and then spray perhaps with the dormant spray before I get into the next spring, okay? So if I had something issue with my foliage, mummyberry on blueberry, whatever, anthracnose, raspberry, any issue, I would want to correct that now before we get into the spring and make sure I start the season clean, okay? Now, like I said, with the green fertilizers, the last one there is pest control. If you've got any issues with anything, it's sometimes really hard to do this verbally. You know, hey, I got this blueberry, it's got little black spots on the leaves. What do I do? Okay, I can guess, but bringing me a sample, taking a good picture, bringing it in, anything like that is going to be night and day help. So if you've got issues, you see something come up, bug, disease, any of that stuff, send a picture, bring a sample down. We would diagnose that for you and send you home with something natural or organic to take care of that problem. We do not want to use systemics, neonics, harsh chemicals at all in our edibles for obvious reasons. You don't want to eat that stuff, and you don't want to kill your bees that are pollinating that stuff for you, okay? So we would go natural with that stuff. All right. So let's whip through some categories here. I'm going to show you a few plants, but if we kind of talk about blueberries to start with, we mentioned a few things. Acidity is great. They don't mind some extra water. We feed them with roadie food. We mulch them. But blueberries are they're great for Washington. I think if you drive around, you'll see the amount of blueberries. I think back in my childhood, everybody had a berry patch. It's like, no, this is my yard. There's my berry patch there in the corner. I keep that separate. You can do that if you want, but I've ended up over the years just incorporating blueberries all over my landscape. I think modern blueberries are very attractive shrubs that a lot of people might look at my yard and go, that's a blueberry? It doesn't look like what you would think of as a typical blueberry. So if we start with our typical blueberries, like our blueberry farm I mentioned, it's going to be high bush blueberries. Can you see a few down here in the front? I brought some gallons in. Now I've got probably 20 different kinds of high bush blueberries back there. We love blueberries here at Sunnyside. But the thing you've got to keep in mind with high bush is a little bit bigger. Typical high bush might get a little taller than me. There are some that are maybe chest level, but that's our U-pick blueberry farm. Big, old, nice, thickety plants that get great production. But all the high bush are going to be classified early, mid, or late. And that's what we have to be careful of when we're picking our plants out for our garden. I need 2 different varieties to cross-pollinate in that season. Okay, now I found over the years I can get away with early with mid, or mid with late. I cannot get away with an early and a late. They do not cross over bloom enough, and I will not get much berries. So ideally, pick a season and get 2 plants. That's the easiest thing to ensure you maximize your crop. Okay, so you'll see back there, we keep ours organized: early, mid, late. We try to keep it simple. It's on our chart. And you can just scan through there, look at the pretty pictures and say, well, I want big and plump, or I like small and flavorful. You can pick whatever you want. There's all kinds of stuff to choose from back there. Okay? The other half of blueberries are going to be these new modern kind of hybrids that have come out I'd say in the last 10 to 15 years. They've taken high bush blueberry and shrunk it down and given it all kinds of ornamental traits to me, okay? So first off, is probably the two most popular plants around here as long as I've been here for 15 years. So you can see in a cold wind, a warm winter, they don't even really go dormant. They turn color, they look like they're gonna turn, they don't drop their leaves. They will here in a couple weeks as all the new growth comes out. I can see buds already swelling. They're gonna start blooming here in a week or two. This is crazy, the weather. So this is Bountiful Blue, and we have Sunshine Blue. Now this is a 3 to 4 foot plant, so half the size sometimes is high bush, great quality berries. And again, if I have one of each of these, I've got my cross-pollination covered. Typical winter, I sometimes will keep my leaves. I've got a nice little colorful foliage to add some interest, but easy to grow, great for production. This is the kind of stuff I have mixed in with all the perennials and shrubs and things in my own yard. I'm out weeding in the summer, oh sweet, I can stop for a snack, move on to the next section, you know, kind of thing. So spotted all over the place. So those are about 3-4 feet. If we want to go small, this is Bountiful Baby. This is the newer one. That's a miniature blueberry. That won't stay under 3 feet. So massive, look at all the buds on there. Massive amount of production, but just a tiny little plant. This would be like what I have. Great one for pots, or a small landscape, or a border, and not having to leave room for a massive, typical high bush blueberry, okay? The other ones are gonna be this, I don't know if I like that pot color, but that's what it is. So this is a program called Bushel and Berry from Star Roses and Plants. Now they've hybridized a number of plants out of Oregon from a place called Fall Creek, where I get pretty cool foliage. You can see they've gone dormant. I have a lot of these in my own yard, but if I'm going for one that looks like maybe a eucalyptus or a boxwood or a different plant that I'm gonna get great berries on, these tend to be at the top of the totem pole for foliage. Great quality berries, but maybe a little more interesting looking plant. So we have some, see what I brought in here. This is one called Silver Dollar. When this leaves out, it's gonna look silvery, turquoise, a little touch of pink even on the leaves. Great foliage and a small plant. So that was one example. Then we have ones like this is the Cascade series. So I've had some people plant these even in hanging baskets. So I could put this on the ground or in a basket or a pot, and it's actually going to weep out a little bit. That's only going to get 2 feet tall and get a little bit wider, okay? So Midnight Cascade, Sapphire Cascade, great blueberries for a little different purpose. Or again, a lot of those ornamental ones like Silver Dollar, Jelly Bean, as I mentioned the one I have. There's one back there called Berry Bucks. If you like the native blueberries, those little tiny dark blue-black ones that have great flavor, that's the one to get. I got that in my yard as well. You got to get a big handful to eat a meal, but they're certainly tasty that way, okay? So maybe the last thing I'd mention on the blueberry is they don't have to be blue. Who's got a pink blueberry? Anybody? Yes, I got one too. So my wife likes to throw those to the fruit salad because that's quite a conversation piece. Like, what is that in there? It's well, they're blueberry, they're pink. They don't taste like lemonade, they don't taste any different, they're just pink in color. So we have pink popcorn, probably pink lemonade is the most popular blueberry up with those Bountiful series. We have those in as well. So if you want something fun, they're still mid, late, early, the same season, and those cross with blue ones. So I could pick that. This is one of my mix if you like those as well, okay? So that give you a little crash course on blueberries. You got any questions on blueberries? Because that's a popular plant around here, and honestly, if you're getting into berries, one of the easiest things to grow in Western Washington. We have great blueberry country.
If you want to try to plant them in pots, would you recommend, since they like water, to not put them in clay pots and put them in plastic pots?
No, I don't know that I'd say that. I've always done glaze. I don't want to worry about winter, frost-proof, plastic, all the rest of it. So I use glaze pots, and again, it's not like I have to do them every day, but every 2 or 3 days I give them a really good drink. They're perfectly happy in the summer. Easiest thing to do in pots, I call it the 2-knuckle test. My fingers are maybe bigger than yours, but I go on the edge, jam in 2 knuckles. If you walk by a container, it might look crusty dry, but it's just that compost or the mulch on top. The rest of it's sopping wet. Okay, the good thing is I don't think you could ever overwater a blueberry, so I would always err on the caution of let's keep that thing a little bit wet in the dry summer and we'll have a happy plant. Yes?
You mentioned cross-pollinate.
Yep.
And I mean, you just need 2 plants, or do you need varieties?
I need 2 different varieties. So if I'm going to do high bush blueberry or some of the other stuff we'll talk about today that needs, I need 2 distinct varieties to cross-pollinate. I get fruit on both. If I buy 2 blue crop, maybe the neighbor's got one and I get lucky and I get a few, but I'm always going to maximize my production by having 2 distinct varieties. Yeah. Yes.
What do you do after the end of the season and then season's on? Do you have to take some of the dirt out?
The container?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I just did mine last week, believe it or not, but that's a once a year thing. I walk out in February, I do the opposite. I want to fill it back up. So I just put sulfur, roadie food, and then I added a little bit of compost to refill my pot, and I'm done for the season. Now I just got to water it and eat it. Yes?
Okay. My blueberries I've had for a few years, and it seems like the soil is sinking.
Yeah.
So that's what you.
Oh yeah, add some more. And again, container or
Don't take
ground.
them out, just add more.
This is a plant. I would not say this about 99.9% of the things we sell you. I could take this plant. I'm talking about burying the stems. I'm not going to go that, but I got 3-4 inches around the crown. I've got a happy blueberry. I mean, that's the way to go. Yeah. You'll see those ones down. You look at a farm, just massive mounds of sawdust typically, you know, or bark or compost. They get mulched every single season, 3 or 4 inches high. Yes.
Can you grow in a greenhouse?
That's a great question. He asked if we could grow blueberries in a greenhouse. The southern stuff, perhaps, that you wouldn't have outside here. Northern high bush plants need dormancy. We need to follow the cycle. So I have to have chilling hours to get that plant to re-leaf out and produce. So you're not going to be able to do this kind of stuff year-round in a greenhouse. Yeah. Yes.
Pruning question allowed?
Yep.
Are you trying to open up the
Yeah. So the whole thing with blueberry, if I just touch on it, I only borrowed one piece of mine. So you recognize that wood. There's a stem coming out of my old high bush blueberry, right? I'm growing out of the center. So you can see, he asked about pruning, and real quick, all of the growth that came out last year, this is where my flower buds are. So I'm never gonna walk out and do this, or I'm cutting off all my production for the season, or a vast majority. So he's exactly right. Ignore this, go all the way to the ground, and we want to cut out the oldest, gnarliest, woodiest pieces. Because if I get those out of the middle, here comes another sucker off the root system, and I keep replacing that wood season to season. Does that make sense? So sometimes I'm looking at an old plant, I ignore this, go right to the bottom and go, okay, if I took out those 3 huge old knotty pieces, I've just opened up the entire specimen, and now I get the fresh wood that I want. Because this is all that matters. That's where I'm going to get to eat. I need that 1-year-old wood that's going to bloom and give me my production. Okay? Yeah.
What if they're, big, that big around?
I've seen them bigger than that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if this is, again, impossible for me to tell you without looking at your plant, but look at the base of it. We're going to have the same exact discussion with raspberries here in a second. Look at the base of it and pick and choose. If I got rid of 3 old hunks, I'm not saying cut them all out, but I get rid of 3 or 4 or 5 on an old plant. I open up that crown, I get fresh wood, and I've got a much happier plant. Yep.
So I know this is an unusual season, but is it too late to do that now?
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, this is something we would do typically this month anyway.
Okay.
You probably could have got away with it a lot. We just haven't had any cold, but you absolutely go have at it now. For sure. Okay? So let's keep going. I'm just going to mention raspberries. So the difference with raspberry is a little bit different than blueberry. All of our raspberries are going to be self-fertile. I plant one plant, I don't have to worry about a second variety. That makes life a little easier, right? The biggest choice with raspberry is June bearing or ever bearing. So who's making jam, jelly, freezing, preserves? You might want one big crop that you can pick, process, and be done with, right? if you're like me and I'm not making jam and stuff, and I'd rather walk out and eat fresh berries the majority of the season, I want everbearing, okay? So we're always gonna have like a big June crop, but we're gonna get a second big crop on everbearing August and September, depending on the variety. So the easiest way to explain this is, if I take an old raspberry, okay, let's borrow this Cascade. So this is wood from last year, obviously, right? This is all gonna bloom. I'm gonna have a massive amount of berries to pick on this, okay? If this is a June-bearing raspberry, I need this wood because it's gonna bloom and I get to harvest it the first season, okay? If I go out and cut this off, it's gonna grow and off it goes. I'm not gonna have any old wood, which means what? I got hardly any berries to enjoy this year. So if I have a June-bearing raspberry, I want to cut it after I pick it, okay? Or like the blueberry, I want to look at the base and remove the oldest canes to open up that row. Does that make sense? I may have, you know how raspberries grow, they got everywhere. So I look at the ground level, it's like you go, you go, you go. I open up that row, again, fresh wood off the root system, and now I got a happy plant going forward, okay? If I have everbearing raspberry, I get my first crop off old wood, then this grows out with the new cane. That's what I pick later summer, fall. Does that make sense? So I've almost got both types of wood with old. So I could sacrifice one crop if I want to prune. I could leave it alone and maximize both my crops. I would say typically homeowners gravitate probably more towards everbearing. We have a little bit of both in ours just because we get a little extra in June, and you can mix them together. But typical homeowner, I think you're going to have better luck with the bigger berry or one for sure that is everbearing, okay? So you're going to see a lot of varieties. If you look at our list out there, we list them out as June or everbearing. I would say if you're going to ask me, Indian Summer, Heritage, probably two of the better everbearing ones around here, and we carry 5 or 6 really good June-bearing raspberries. Willamette from Oregon has been around since the 50s, #1 planted berry in the entire earth. That is your typical you pick raspberry. Excellent quality, not super thorny, great for homeowners and for commercial production, but that would be my choice, everbearing or June again. Now, I'm going to mention just a couple special ones because I'm pretty psyched when these come in. So we have the whole Cascade series, okay? Now, we talk about growing blueberries, what did we say? I don't mind wet, right? That's the opposite of raspberries. If I put raspberry in clay, I keep it irrigated, it gets too wet in the winter, I got root rot and I'm going to lose my entire plant is gone. So I have to make sure we're a little bit higher and drier with raspberries. Oregon State, Washington State have bred this entire series, Cascade Harvest, Cascade Premier, Cascade Gold, Cascade this, because it has better root rot resistance built in for our specific climate, Western Oregon, Western Washington, okay? So if I want to up my disease resistance, get a massive berry, they're really good, I would look hard at this Cascade series. I can get gold raspberries, red raspberries, and have a really good local variety that would thrive in our neighborhoods, okay? So I just got those in. I think it's been 2 years since we were able to get them. It's been tough to find the plants, but you'll see them all back there. We got a whole bunch of them back there, okay? The other one I would bring up is black raspberry. Anybody got black raspberries? So that's a little different. They're super sweet. The golden raspberries and the black ones tend to be even higher sugar, like melt in your mouth. They're good with red. I would say if you're gonna do black, I would keep my black row separate from my red. Okay, don't mix these two together. I don't mind the reds and yellows together, but keep the black in its own area. This one tends to be maybe a little bit more disease prone. I don't mean that negative, but if something did get into this, you don't want it to get on all your reds. It's as simple as that. So I've had these before too. They're great eating, but this is one called Jewel. We tried again. It's been a while since I got black raspberries, but if you want something fun, those were really fun to grow in the yard as well, okay? The other one is this little cutie. This is raspberry shortcake. I'll forgive you because everybody asks for strawberry shortcake because that one tends to roll off the tongue a little better. But this is miniature raspberry, okay? So I have no thorns. I have no blood when I'm picking, okay? I don't have to reach in and I'm not gonna bleed to death when I'm getting my berries. So this is a small plant that only grows about 2 feet tall. We've had these in for years. Grow them in pots, grow them in the ground. Both great situations. But I'm always honest, this doesn't change the fact it's a raspberry. And raspberry is all about the root system. You guys, have everybody grown raspberries or have them? So you know what I mean. I put one in, and I got canes everywhere, and it will not stop until I tell it to. I gotta keep it in a row, prune it, spade it, something. This isn't any different, okay? A lot of people think, oh, I'll buy that little miniature one, and it'll just sit there in a cute little clump for all eternity. No. It's still gonna sucker and cane and cane and cane. It's not gonna get very big. It's a June berry, it's got a great berry on it, but it still is gonna need to be maintained. This is still a spreading plant. So this is one in a pot. You know, I put mine in about a 2 foot by 2 foot pot. That plant, I would have 5 years before it's totally root bound. Wintertime, I flip it over, I chop it into quarters, I put some back in the pot, and off we go again. Then I give some to my friend, my neighbor, whoever else, and off we go. I mean, it's not easy, but if I'm gonna do it in the pot, I need to transplant it every few years to make sure I've got the happy soil and root system, okay? Yeah. So this is raspberry shortcake. It's always a fun one. It's like I always say, everyone always calls and says, you got any strawberry shortcake? Yes, we do, because really what you want is that. All right?
They're all self-fertile?
All raspberries self-fertile. I don't have to worry about any kind of double, triple, quadruple variety. Just one plant's more than enough. If you're going to plant a row of raspberries, typically what you see is those T-posts. I put a post up about as tall as me. I got one down there and I run wires. Now I've got somewhere that I could train my canes and keep that row confined a little bit. If I could do mine over again, I would have it in the border. Not that that's fail-safe, but if you have raspberries, you know what I mean. I plant them in dirt, they just keep coming. So either I gotta walk along and chop every year to keep them contained, or if I could do it again, I would have got treated wood or bamboo barrier even and put a perimeter in to say, you get all this to grow in, don't come out to the rest of it, okay? Yes?
Just to emphasize, I did 16 inches of bamboo barrier and it
Got underneath it? Yeah, you gotta go probably, I think what I was looking at was like 30 inch, 2 foot 30 inch deep. Yes.
Well, I put them in, I put metal down
Yep,
2
metal.
feet, and then
Yep.
I have a cement wall on the other
Exactly.
side.
Put metal in. Something, you know, plastic will last a long time. The wood would help too, but I find most people have success with this. I have a typical yard and I want a couple of rows of brambles. This is going to be the same discussion for blackberries and boysenberries and all that. And I don't want to go crazy. I would build a raised bed. Okay, you could put a sleeve down in it in the ground, but I could raise that bed up. I keep my drainage up. I don't have to worry about down on the native soil a little bit. I'm up out of the ground, and that does help keep it contained a little bit. I'm always honest, and I've said this 3 times. Raspberry is all about the roots. Okay, it's not going to change the creature. It's always going to want to, I put one plant in, and it's going to want to have 50. Okay, so either I got to maintain it, or figure out a way to contain it in a nice row that I can enjoy. Okay, so thornless again. The only other one that's kind of thornless is Candy. Is pretty close to thornless, and that's a regular tall cane raspberry. But I know this is something they're working on. I think a lot of breeders are taking the thorns out of the equation for a lot of the typical berries that we want to enjoy, that we don't have to bleed to death. Okay? Yes?
So our raspberry patch is in the corner of the neighbor's property that has a ubiquitous Himalayan blackberry.
Mixed. Oh yeah.
Is there anything other than a mechanical solution to removing those?
That's a tough one. He asked if he's got non-native blackberries, because none of the natives growing around here, all the Himalayan blackberries that you see are not supposed to be here. Cascade blackberry grows on the ground, and I grow those because they're delicious. That is not our native one, but it's going to outcompete pretty much any other bramble because it's frankly a weed to some extent. So if I'm going to get it out of my patch, physical digging it out is going to be an option. I would be really leery with herbicide unless you're really careful. So if I want to eliminate blackberry, frankly some of the worst weeds in my yard, we're going to go on a different topic here for a minute, but I'm going to always walk out right in spring. As soon as I get the big flush of foliage, that's when I want to either spray, or you would probably be painting it on. So you're not getting in the soil, I'm not getting on the plants I don't want. I would not use a chemical-based herbicide. I think you'll have pretty good luck with. I have had luck keeping that from my neighbors from coming in. There's a spray in there that's natural called Dead Weed Brew. And if I walk out on a sunny day when it's got leaves on, I paint that on, you're going to torch that plant. Okay, try to get it out of there. All right? So let's go strawberries real quick. I don't have a lot of strawberries in. We got the first few this week, but you can see our cute little starts in. They're already looking like it's a month from now. Mine are already going crazy, which is insane. I have a lot. Who grows strawberries? We got a few. So I don't know if you ever watch. You guys ever go on our YouTube channel? So if you go on our channel, I did this in my house last year. I try to every year go, okay, what can I make a video on real quick that people would like to, learn something. So I went to town on my strawberry patch last March and took about a 10-minute video. If you want to learn how to clean up your patch and get it ready for the spring, I would say go back and watch that for sure. If I'm going to look at adding strawberries, it's kind of the same discussion as the raspberry, okay? Do I want June bearing, one big crop, or do I want ever bearing? Okay, I have a little bit of both, but mostly ever bearing again because I just want fresh berry for me and my sons to enjoy all the way to the summer. We were out picking them at Thanksgiving this year still, which is absolutely insane. And right now they look greener than that. I mean, we have not had much cold in ever at all. So, but clean it up. If you don't, we got slugs, we got issues, we got the rest. So clean it up once a year. If you know strawberries, when I say the word mother plant, what does that make you think of, right? So you got to think of this when you plant strawberries. Well, I've had mother plants I put in, those are done in 3 or 4 years. They do nothing ever again. So I have to continually every 3-4 years, which is why I did this. I was like, ooh, it's on the calendar, let's get this done, let's shoot a video. Because it was up for the division, the replanting, and then off we go for 3 or 4 more years, okay? So if I have old strawberries, I look at the oldest, nastiest plants, you can either take those out, send them to the compost heap in the sky, leave your runners, leave your fresh plants, because those take the place of the mother plant. The cycle never continues. Does that make sense? So don't think of those old ones. Either I got to heap them up and break them apart and replant those starts. I have 3 kind of fire pits that I do above ground of strawberries. I probably had 400 plants when I divided my strawberries last year. I gave some to all kinds of places and put more than I needed back in again. So I mean, they keep coming strong if we do it right, all right? So June bearing, ever bearing is our choice. We're always gonna grow flat like a ground cover, hanging basket, pocket pots. I've done them in containers before. Strawberries very easy, and I would say again, for modern gardeners, this is the difference to me. Okay, great berries, but an ornamental looking plant. A lot of people growing these as an edible basket, as a trailing ground cover in a container even, because it looks like strawberry. I get to eat the strawberry, but the flower is a deep scarlet or a bright pink or a little more ornamental, if that makes sense, okay? So scarlet bell, rosy bell, there's new strawberries coming out every year that have great berries, but also maybe offer a little bit different ornamental quality. Yeah.
I just want to get clear on what I think I heard you said, which is that this last fall, as I was cleaning up my garden,
Yep.
I was finding all these young strawberries
Oh yeah.
all around.
That's what you want.
Because it's part of the perennial bed.
Exactly.
So they're all over the place. I could dig those up this spring and put them in a pot.
Exactly. Exactly. You make your own strawberries. The plant police will not come arrest you, I promise. You can propagate.
Okay.
You can propagate your own strawberries. Yes.
No cross-pollination strawberries?
No cross pollination needed. Again, self-fertile, super easy. Yeah.
Fertilizer.
Yep. Same thing. This is the one I want. I put this down. You'll see me in the video. It's exactly what I use out of my garage. Okay, so I went through The one thing I always worry about strawberry, to be honest, is just our favorite friend, Mr. Slug. You know, I leave all my debris, my Japanese maple dumped all its foliage. It's great mulch for the winter, but at some point I need to get rid of that because I can guarantee you the slugs are hanging out there, especially this winter, and laying eggs, and I'm gonna have slugs on everything. So that's why I really clean it up, and my plants, each one gets cut back to that, because that's all I want. In a month, it's a foot tall, full of foliage, and off we go for the season. I mean, it's really that easy. Strawberries, we gotta have decent drainage again, but if we've got good soil, in a contained area preferably, use them as a ground cover, very, very easy to do. I would never use plastic on anything. Weed fabric might be a possibility, but in the case of the strawberry, think of it this way. She mentioned all her new plants. If I have weed fabric down, I'm not going to have those runners are not going to dot and re-root as easy. Yeah. They keep the rows. Yeah. Mulched out, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's probably a water issue down there. I don't think we need to worry about the water up here. A little bit, yeah, a little bit. All right? Good, go ahead, last one.
What do you use for potting soil for the strawberry?
So if I'm going to use strawberry, I'll be honest, when I did my big, huge raised rings, I got raised bed mix. I don't have any problem with regular potting soil either. Either one of those is fine. We don't need extra acidity like we do with the blueberry. That's the one thing that's a little bit different. Okay. All right, strawberry is good. Grapes. Who's growing grapes? Anybody making their own wine? Grapes are always a tough one. I'm always honest in these classes, and the problem with the nursery, don't have as much money as the winery. So you are going to be super, super, super restricted on what you can have in your yard. State of Washington has dropped the hammer on grapes, period. So I have very few things I can bring in here to sell. We got some great grapes, but it's not going to be wine grapes. It's not going to be Concord. It's not going to be the stuff you see at the grocery store. It's going to be nice, seedless, slipskin grapes, Himrod, Interlaken, red ones, blue ones, black ones, white ones, all the colors you want, but probably just not the name variety. You mentioned California. You're not getting Thompson seedless up here. You know, it's just not a variety. We would get Himrod or Interlaken, okay? But if I'm going to grow grapes, it's a vine. If you have grapes, you know what I mean. I plant a grape. If I let it go, it's a pretty vine. It's got great foliage, nice fall color. They get huge. I could cover a fence, an arbor, a trellis, anything like I would a vine. But if I'm growing that grape because I want to eat, okay, it's pruning. Got to get out there and prune it hard. If I drive by a winery right now, you're looking at old grapes with huge wood that are butchered into little tiny little bonsais, because all that matters, where's my grape at? There's a grape. So here's a nice start of grape. All that matters is the old wood. If I have an old grapevine and it's forked out and growing, I don't need all that little tendril pencil growth. I just need short chunks of old wood. That's where my flowers are going to drop and on my production. So if you have grapes, look at your old wood. These will get cut back to 3 or 4 buds on an old plant, and that's where I would keep them tidy and keep my production up. You don't have to do it that way. I find most people with grapes want to cover something because it's a pretty plant that you do get to eat as well. So if you want to let it go, let it go. You know, you can thin it out once in a while, but if you're trying to keep it for production, I would get a really good annual prune this time of year to keep it contained a little bit. Yes?
I did the heavy pruning already, but what I've noticed in the years past, you know, it goes crazy.
Oh yeah.
So do you prune back in June, or?
You could tidy a little bit more. Yeah, it's not going to hurt the plant. If I do it really hard right now, see what comes out, I can always go back and thin it out a little bit in the summer. I don't have a problem with that at all. Yeah, for sure.
After?
Say like mid-June probably or so, early mid-June. If you get regrowth, that gives it time to harden off for the next season. Yeah, for sure. Yes? Raccoons. All right. I'm going to take a deep breath because I have a little war going with 5 of them right now. I've got a sonic device out. I have a new sign I added. That's a really tough one. I don't know. You know, I would always try probably a sonic device first. There's some repellents. I don't know that you're going to have much luck with repellents with raccoon, to be honest. It's worked with other things. I would go sonic route first and foremost. Are they going just for that, or is there something specific?
I was in the back patio there a couple in the last few years.
Stripping everything. They dig up my lawn every night. It's just like, did you offer him one? Yeah. I would try a repellent. I mean, I'm never a huge fan. It's like, who wants to put fencing around everything and all the rest of it? Obviously, that would help. But I would try sonic device first. Keep your fingers crossed. And I mean, you might put some things around. That's what I started doing, is like, okay, I don't really care if you mess with this or that. Stay out of this area. There's some plants they stay away from. Lavender, rosemary, herby things like that. You might try to plant some of that in areas that might keep them deterred from going in there. But I think we're all going to, raccoons are just going to be a tough one. I mean, it really is. It's at my house. This has been going on for years. And I win, and I think I won, and then I don't win. So there you go.
I haven't used it, but a friend of mine had a water hose.
Yep.
Sensitive.
I had that going last summer.
How did it work for you?
When I chased them up the tree in my backyard at about 2 o'clock in the morning one day, I think I got one of them not to come back, but it was 2 weeks, and then I'm like, oh, look at that. There they are back in the yard again. So
even with the hose?
Yeah, I got the hose going, and I chased them. I'm not, and see, I'll admit, I'm just not an animal killer. I was really pissed, but I'm still not going to go get a shotgun and kill the raccoon.
This was automated. You know,
Yeah, exactly. I have one of those on the back. I got a sonic in the front. It's kind of funny because the one place I don't have anything is where they've been digging up the last 6 months. So I'll probably get another one for the 3rd yard now. Yeah.
So the zoo used to do a thing where you could buy cougar urine.
Yep.
And put around.
Coyote urine, cougar urine, predator urine, that helps as well. Yeah, you can find that around too. Yeah, for sure. We got a rat. I got a coyote. Yeah, I got a coyote in my neighborhood, and I just keep hoping, like, dude, one day I'm going to see you with one in your mouth and be like, yes.
Yeah.
That's a different story. All right. So grapes, you know, look at what we have. I would say if you want to add grapes, get them sooner than later. I'm just being honest. It's not me. It's not Sunnyside. It's the state of Washington. I understand why they restrict them for homeowners, but it's just super limited. Last year was brutal. This year's much better. But when I sell out of what I have, I don't think I'm going to be able to find any more. I had to do this about 8 months ago to get the right paperwork so I'd have some grapes for springtime. Okay. Next one up is huckleberries. One of my favorite plants. It's a native. It's really easy to grow. I got these in multiple areas of my own landscape. I think they make great shrubs, and you get to eat them. Who goes ever to Anthony's restaurant in Everett and has huckleberry slump? That's one of the best desserts ever. Now I'm hungry. I want to go eat some. There you go, huckleberries. I think huckleberries fabulous. So if I look at native, this is stuff I would find out in the woods. I mean, right there. An attractive, easy plant, evergreen. These grow on the seashore, in the woods, shade, sun. It's not super big. You'll find them everywhere. And this is a super easy shrub to grow. If you want to go native and you want to eat, keep area pollinators happy, all the rest of it, that's a really easy plant to do for us locally here. So that's evergreen huckleberry, what we call Vaccinium ovatum. And then this is the one, we were out hiking in the woods and we see the old nurse log. Red huckleberry tends to be growing out in our shade forest. I have one of these in an old fruit stump in my backyard I've had for 20 years. Love the berries, a little tangier. They're small again, but I wish they were bigger, but really easy to grow, especially if you have more shade than sun. That would be one we could have native and do a lot of shade on as well. So mine's 8 feet tall. Now I've seen some old red huckleberries. They get nice size with age. I could easily prune this and keep it back down a little bit as well. Okay, so that's Vaccinium parviflorum. So those are our 2 natives right there. I would find those all over the place in western Washington, up and down the Pacific coast, if you want to go native. The other 2 that are close are these 2. So this is what we call Gallus sacea, or Appalachian huckleberry. So this is a different plant family closely related to this. I would not find this in Washington. I would find this more on the slopes of the Appalachia, more in the Midwest and East Coast. But you can see evergreen, beautiful winter color. This grows low, like a ground cover, delicious berries. They call this buried treasure. Not like pirate berry, but buried treasure, right? Haha, that's a funny one. So that's a cool plant. I've had a lot of people locally here, thrives in exactly the same conditions that our native huckleberries do, and eat up some ground with the low evergreen shrub. Really easy plant to grow.
Do those grow in the pot?
Absolutely could do those in a pot as well. Yep. And then this is lingonberry. I'm going to have to eat one here because there's one sitting right in front of me. Excellent. So this is lingonberry from Sweden. Okay, this would be Upper Scandinavia. This is a little evergreen plant, under a foot. Okay, great for borders, for sun. Same family as these other plants we do with huckleberries, but lingonberry is a fun one. Great with ice cream too. That's an easy one to grow. Okay. So huckleberries, lingonberries, anything in that vaccinium family, or again our Appalachian style, all really worthy to grow up here and easy to do in our acidic soil and all the rest. All right. Now I've got a couple left. So we'll do kiwi. Anybody growing kiwis? Something from the land down under, right? I don't have a very good Australian accent. Let's try it. So I brought a couple kiwis in. We've got two right here, okay? Now I'll have some more of these coming in, but if I give you a quick kiwi 101, okay, we got three choices. We have fuzzy kiwi, right? We go to the grocery store, we get kiwi about that big, it's nice and soft and fuzzy. That would be the one that we borrow from the southern hemisphere. New Zealand, Australia, other climates, okay? I think we're not cold enough in the winter that I'm not worried about fuzzy kiwi dying out anymore. We have a huge one on the property here that I can't tell you how many kiwis we get every year. We probably throw half of them away. But there's a massive kiwi out there from years ago, a male and a female. I have to have a he and I have to have a she, and I have to have those two do their thing or I get no kiwis, okay? So that was old school kiwi, fuzzy. Now, we get fuzzy kiwi, oh, lost it, oh, it's on the top. Now we get fuzzy kiwi that has both sexes in one. Okay, this is the complaint I heard with kiwi. I bought two, one of them died, what do I got left? I bought a house, there's one in it, I never get fruit, what is it? Okay, I can't tell you what kiwi you have unless we see a flower. We go back to grade school, botany, we look for a pistil, we look for a stamen. It's as easy as that. That's the only way we're going to tell. Foliage, wood, nothing else is distinctive about a kiwi, okay? So if you don't know what you have, if you see it blooming here April, May, take a picture or bring a flower in and we can figure out, well, you got a he, we got to get you a she, okay? Or if you're buying one now, forget all that crap and just get a sulfural one. That's as easy as it goes, right? So sweet and solo, we get other varieties like this in now, kiwi, that you just don't have to worry about having more than one plant, okay? That is a massive vine. Who has kiwi? How big is your kiwi? We had a kiwi growing up that covered a 2-story deck that probably trailed 80 feet across that. I mean, it is a massive plant, okay? So give it room. I would not put a kiwi next to my house, on my siding, anywhere like that. This is for a trellis, an arbor, a row, a pergola. It's a really cool looking plant and you get to eat it, but keep it away where you can let it do its thing and not attack your home, okay? Like that and wisteria are probably the two you want to keep away from the house, okay? So fuzzy kiwi. Next one is what we call hardy kiwi or grape kiwi, okay? Smaller fruit, no fuzz, great taste, super hardy. This is, fuzzy kiwi would be hardy to like 10 degrees. This will be hardy to like 20 below zero, okay? So I don't have to worry about cold if I do hardy kiwi. So different species, same thing. Great name. This new one's called Kiwi Magic. Male, female, don't have to worry about it, okay? If I have an old one, I'd have to go get a he and a she again and make sure I got both. But the new stuff, I don't have to worry about. I still have Arctic kiwi coming in. Now we go down to 40 below zero. Okay, I can grow this up in Alaska, Siberia, anywhere I want, which is where it's native. Small kiwi fruit. Okay, I have to buy he and the she with those, but they also have spectacular foliage. Anybody seen Arctic kiwi in a garden? White, pink, green foliage, and the nice fruit on top. So believe it or not, it's always the she's that look better. In the kiwi world, it's the he. So the he will have the white, the pink, the green. She will have green. They will do their thing, and you will have great little Arctic kiwis to enjoy off of that, okay? But again, vine, large, keep it contained. All right.
Do you have to prune those back?
To me, this is almost the identical conversation as the grape. If I'm trying to cover something, I got no problem with you letting it go, you know, which is kind of probably what you guys have done. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if I'm trying to keep it in an area or go for more production, I'm getting rid of anything less than a pencil. So all that tendril growth gets cut back every year, and I'm back to kind of that old wood-like grape. Now I get the flower. It's still going to grow 10 feet in one season after you prune it, but I've kept it contained a little bit. Okay? Yes?
Do you get fruit the first year?
No, that's a great question. She asked about fruit the first year. I would probably give you 5. Okay, typically 5. And sometimes it might be 6 or 7. But a lot of customers come back, that's growing like a weed, I love it, it's great. Where's my damn fruit? Yeah. We have to wait a few years. This is a plant that we do not get instant gratification on. Let it mature, get some root system, feed it, do all the things we've talked about, and then boom, you get, okay, now we're in business and we got kiwis forever, okay? If you have old ones again, and you're not getting it, it's been there, I'd say anything longer than 7 years, and you got nothing, then we got a pollination issue, and we got to watch for that flower and make sure we got he and she covered, okay? The easy thing now, like I said, is I don't really care which one you have if it's a mystery. Now we take a so fertile one home and plant it. Now we've got both that take care of it and the one you already have. Okay, makes it a little easier now. Okay? Now the last couple, currants. I don't have currants in yet. I'm picking some up next week. Has anyone grown currants? Okay, currants are easy to grow. Western Washington, big deciduous shrubs. I found a lot of heirloom stuff this year, so we're gonna have some cool currants in from Europe, Sweden, some different areas. It'll be fun. We can do white, which almost look like translucent little eyeballs. They're kind of fun. So we have white, we have black, and we have red. We will have all 3 colors in here later next week, and we keep getting those through the season. So we will have some currants in here pretty quick, okay? Then we have brambles. Now, raspberry we could think of as a bramble. We already talked about that before, okay? We got our suckering root system, thorny canes, right? But if we get into what I'm going to call brambles, actually I put them down here, it's going to be marionberry, tayberry, boysenberry, blackberry, the different things that are kind of edible quality that grow like that. So we got a bunch of examples up here. Who likes marionberry? That's my #1 edible creature on this entire earth. Want some favors? Bring me some marionberries. I'm just kidding. I love marionberries. I love blackberries too. Marionberry, I gotta believe there's not a thornless marionberry. That's the one I know they're working on, and I'll wait for my thornless marionberry, and then I'll be ready to go. But we can get thornless boysenberries, all kinds of great thornless gourmet blackberries now. Not the crap that grows in the ditch. This is a little different. These are big, huge berries that you would find more like restaurant quality. But I've got a lot of good thornless varieties up there, and now even some blackberries that produce twice a season versus 1. Okay? With all brambles, we have what we call primicanes and floricanes. Okay? If we look at our structure of our plant, if I grab one of these, well, this one, perfect, no leaves, and I can see it. Here's the brand new one called Taste of Heaven. Doesn't that sound lovely? So this is the Proven Winner Empire. This is their brand new thornless blackberry. So big berries, but what I can see is the structure. I got no thorns, so I don't have to bleed when I pick this, which is nice. But if I'm going to train this, it's kind of the same as the raspberry. Maybe I have a 3 or 4 foot guide wire, and I have shorter canes that I can keep in a row. Okay, that's what I've done at my house too over the years. So this is one, if I pick berries on this year, okay, that cane is done. Okay, 1-year-old wood blooms, I eat it, I cut it out, I throw it in the yard waste, because another cane has grown up, spring, summer, fall, that blooms the next season, and we keep that cycle going. Does that make sense? So if I want to keep this contained, it's always getting rid of the stuff you picked and leaving the new wood for the next season. Now we can really keep these much tidier, okay? Blackberry is like raspberry. I'm going to sucker off the root system. It's no different with brambles, but I can always let my row get bigger or cut some of those starch out if I want and keep that row a little bit tighter, okay? But I would look real hard with brambles at thornless options is huge. We've got a lot of homeowners, I mean, when it comes down to it, who wants to bleed to death out there picking their fruits, okay? If we got thornless, your life's gonna be easier. Still got great berries, but I don't have to put on body armor to get out there and dig through the row, okay? So, Taste of Heaven, baby cakes, there's all kinds of thornless varieties back there already. And then again, some regular blackberries like Marionberry. I want my Marionberries, I still got to bleed when I pick them. So we still have that back there as well, okay? There are some more coming in, Loganberries, Tayberries. There's a few different things that we like to have around here that are not quite here yet, but they'll be here pretty quick. If there's something you need like that, leave your name on the wish list. We give you a heads up when it arrives, okay? So there's a little blackberry. The last one down there, I just put other berries to consider. This is kind of a catch-all. There's a lot of stuff coming in that's new for us. You know, not new for me, but I'm gonna have to do some staff training. We have a lot of people last year asked, like, dude, I want more edible things. Why can't you carry this? Why don't we have this? So I spent some time this winter and sourced out a lot of different things that are all over the internet for the highest antioxidant. Why aren't you growing this? And I want a gumi and a goji and a sea berry and all this other weird things. They're really fun to grow, delicious to eat, but don't be afraid to try them. If it's not going to grow locally here, we don't choose to carry it. We're not trying to sell you failure. We're trying to sell you success, hopefully in the garden. So if we look at things like honeyberries, anyone tried those? Some people call them haskaps. This would be all over Saskatchewan, Alberta, the dry, cold plains. 30, 40 below zero hardiness. Wow. All the heat in the world. They're super hard, super durable. The best way to explain it is, looks like an oblong oval blueberry. It kind of tastes a little bit like blueberry too. It's got a little different flavor, but pretty close. You know, with that, we'll have a bunch of kinds in again. They've become real popular, but we got to make sure we get 2 different kinds to cross-pollinate at the same season. So be careful if you're choosing honeyberries back there. When we get them in, we just want to make sure we got your pollination covered. Gumi, little red guys, we have those coming in. I would call them partially self-fertile. I can tell you from growing them, don't worry about having a second plant. You can have one of those and be perfectly happy, okay? Real elderberries. Who makes elderberry wine besides Elton John, right? So elderberries are super nutritious. Again, a lot of people that are homesteading, growing their own, are asking for things like that because they're super high nutritional value, really easy to grow. We've always had elderberries here, but not specific ones noted for edible production. You're going to see that out there when I get back next week, okay? Sea berries. Anyone tried sea berry? Did you like it? I thought it was delicious.
I haven't got berries yet because I finally was able to lock in a male plant last year.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's cards again.
So we have males and he's and she's coming. And this would be like an orangey, I don't know what you call it. It's almost, it's not quite like orange juice. It's not quite that tart, but it's got a great flavor, I think. And they're top of the totem pole for nutrition. I mean, it's like Ukraine, the Far East, Siberia, a lot of different areas around the world. That's their go-to berry. You know, so why don't we have that here as well? They'll grow fine in our neck of the woods, okay? I'm going to try a jujube because I always wanted one. I don't have one. Those will be coming in. Medlars, if you tried like Native American fruit, medlars, pawpaws, almost like applesauce and a little fruit, really good flavor. A lot of that'll be coming in as well. And even some pomegranates, which I love pomegranate. So not the stuff again, we're not warm enough and we get too cold in the winter for the stuff you would probably find at the grocery store, but there's plenty of hybrid pomegranates, again, from colder areas of the globe that we can cultivate here successfully too, okay? So we're trying some fun stuff. Everybody's like into edibles. I would invite you to check out our website because again, all this new stuff is on there. Pictures, information, it's on our list, it's on our website in the edible section where you can see some of that, like, ooh, that sounds fun. I want to try one of those. You can email us. We'll call you when it comes in. It should be in the next couple weeks for pretty much everything, okay? So I think we got berry overload. We got some more questions. Yes? Which one? Oh, jam making? You know, it's funny you brought that up because we're seriously, it might not be a class, we might do some videos, but we're seriously going to try to incorporate more of the cooking, the herbs, with all the edible stuff. We started this last year a lot with the herbs and the vegetables, and then, well, hey, if you're going to grow this, then you could turn it into this, and I think we're going to do the same thing with berries. Yeah, for sure. All right, so don't forget, sale going. It's not raining too bad. You got umbrellas if you want one. But you got all week to do the sale. If there's something that's not going to be in by the sale end, just give me your name, email me or whatever. I'll honor the discount for you in a week or two when the plant comes in. If there's something you had your heart set on. But we've got a lot of stuff back there, probably the most we've ever had this early. I would invite you to go check out the berry area, do a little shopping if you can, okay? And for sure, the store is somewhat warm and dry. Take advantage of the fertilizer sales. We tried this for February. We're trying to get people to feed good organic foods. This is on sale for the class, but all of our organic EB Stone fertilizers are on special here for the month of February too, okay? All right, you got any more questions?
When are the strawberries coming in?
So I got I think they had 4 flats ready for me. I think it'll probably be 1st of March or so. We will start to see like a whole table full back there. Yeah, pretty quick. Won't be too long. Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming in. Enjoy the rain today, all right?